does a typical day at work look like?
I mean, I think as with most people, I work in an office and I work with, so for me, I am both an academic, a scholar, so I do research on the programs that we do, and I do, I try to find ways to expand what we know about learning and what we would call the learning sciences. But also I have very specific kind of like in a clinical way, I work with faculty to develop their technology. So I have a very practical and practice-based aspect to my work as well. So in addition, on what some days I may be, performing statistical calculations and determining whether the educational endeavors that we are trying out are actually working. And in other days, I might be meeting with faculty. For example, just today, I was meeting with faculty to plan out an active learning session in a couple of months. And so we're going to do one on, this is in our reproduction block. We're talking about doing one on disparities in reproductive care. So why is it that some people in our society have worse outcomes than other people, all else being equal? So we're going to do some really exciting active learning work with our students on that. And just as one example, a couple of months ago, I did some work with somebody in the OBGYN area of our medical program in the clerkship phase. That's when our students in their second and third years go out and they start working in clinical contexts with their instructors. So I helped one of our instructors there to refactor what used to be these lunchtime lectures that students would typically just sleep through, and refactor them into active learning sessions that were small group based, using a kind of an adapted version of a methodology called team-based learning. And what evolved out of that was actually we were able to see that from the previous year to the next year, there was a statistically significant improvement in the students' ratings of those sessions. So by making it more active, we were actually able, and then also using the data that we collected from that, we're able to make an argument that this is probably, maybe not every single one of these clerkship lunchtime things or didactic periods should look exactly like this, but that certainly this is better students like it more than other things. So I think, obviously the next layer out would then be to illustrate that leads to better outcomes, but we haven't quite got there yet. So that's good enough.
Yeah, so everywhere is different, obviously, but since I'm instructional design and since I'm part of this team that's where I just do the instructional design, the design side of it, my day it's actually quite a bit of a kind of like it's very high paced and it's very production oriented, which has been good for me because coming from the technology side, my design skills were not very good. And I had no idea of like how to really create like a really beautiful e-learning course. I mean, I remember just seeing some of those and going like, how do people even think about this to create these kind of great animation and so forth. So the team I'm on now is really design oriented, which has helped me build my design skills. So really what I do is we use a product called Evolve, which is an e-learning framework. It allows you to create courses and then you export them as SCORM files, which can then be imported into an LMS. And Evolve is pretty popular now. Facebook, Google, a lot of big companies are moving to it. So we work in Evolve, and I'm given these PowerPoints of courses that were previously taught in person. And my job is and I go through each of these slides and I create these lessons. And so some of it is using the components. They have all these other components like accordion components and gallery components and so forth. And I move that content into it. And then when there's some type of a graphic that needs to be created, anytime I always try to think of how to create things into graphics because images are better than text. And so I'm always thinking like, what kind of graphics can we add to it? And so I use Illustrator to create graphics. So most of it is around creating those courses, and then there's really just reviewing other people's courses and some process around that. Yeah.
That's awesome. How do you measure the impact of what you designed?
It's hard in this course. We do have a rating that we add, sort of a survey that happens at the end of the course. and we have to get something like 85% approval on it. Otherwise, we kind of get a bad review to our team. So there's a lot of pressure for us to create like really high quality courses. So there's not a lot of other feedback on this team other than just creating the courses and then seeing the feedback that comes back, the survey at the end of the course, and making sure that, you know, I got good overall good scores for it.
Wow. Yeah, it seems like nowadays you're going to be creating a lot of material every day because that's the future.
Oh yeah, it's like, remember how I mentioned it was like jack of all trades? It's like everything. So if you like, and let me tell you just right off the bat, it depends on who you work for, where you work for. So we're broken up into industry instructional designers, and then there's higher ed instructional design. They're two completely different worlds. You may have different roles. I think my position is unique because I'm doing like multiple things. So I work with faculty in course design one-on-one on one of my contracts. I also create self-paced courses or resources like job aids, if you will. I design, develop, and deploy training. So I facilitate Zoom training with colleges one-on-one or districts. And I just pick up odd jobs, sometimes working as a subject matter expert. But I think that's more of just because I have accessibility background. Maybe that might be why. But folks specifically look out for me because I have instructional design. So that can open up a lot of different jobs for you. I have friends. I mean, if I wanted to work as a video production specialist or I don't know, something along the lines, I can totally do that. You can be a technical writer. Having instructional design gives you that foundation. How do you effectively communicate what needs to be communicated, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I do not like doing the same thing every single day. So that's my typical day. It's whatever priority and whatever I feel like that day.
Yeah, that's nice. You kind of can, like control what you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I like to do reports first because a lot of times somebody is waiting for the report and they have to do something with it. So, and then maybe someone else has to do something with it. So first things first. And that's just a lot of Excel and also within the LMS. And then I spend the rest of the day on whatever project it is that I'm working on at the time. Sometimes we're working on a big e-learning course, and so maybe I am storyboarding that, or I might be gathering assets for it, or putting it together. I might be actually building it out in our course authoring tool. And that always takes a while too. So any of those things could be happening. But then there are also times when, you know, I might just be sent, you know, a Zoom recording just like this, and I have to edit it and upload it into our LMS so that people who couldn't attend the meeting live because they're like in the UK or something and sleeping during it, you know, they can watch it afterwards and still learn. So they have some instructor-led training that's presented like that over Zoom. And you know, it's just mainly a variety of that. But then throughout the day, I'll get pinged or emailed by our different account managers who might be in contact with stylists and users of the system who may be having trouble or technical difficulties, and then I have to go in and research that and fix it. So it's a lot of that as well. And sometimes I get to actually just sit down and figure out how to improve my own workflow within the LMS, because the one we're using, it's called Sum Total Systems, and it is rocket science. I'm not gonna lie. It's taken me a year now, I think, and I feel like I maybe know 40 to 50% of what is in there after a year. So well, yeah, it's really complicated. And there are also like consequences to, you know, you change up this one setting over here, and then this other thing, like 25 steps down the road, is totally different or messed up now, and you had no idea that would happen. So it's things like that where I have to try to think within the limits and also coordinate the requirements of different tools that I'm using, such as Camtasia, how that works, how that might interact with, you know, something that I have to drop into the course authoring tool, but then how big is that, you know, output going to be in the SCORM that I have to upload to some total, because they all have limitations that kind of conflict sometimes. So there's also a lot of just thinking that goes on as well.
That's, yeah, it sounds like in your position you are the expert and you won't have to be learning, so it sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Like a very full day, and a day full of projects and moments and excitement, and it's great.
Yeah, and I mean, and it is exciting for a person like me. I mean, I don't think everyone would like it. Before I got there, the people who were working on it had actual full-time jobs doing other things. And so that they created a position for someone to come in and be the expert on these things. And so I'm the first person who actually had the position there. And so, but I always just love learning new things. And so the people, I think, because they had these other jobs, the people before me, and they were all like splitting it up amongst several, you know, I think it was really hard for them. They also didn't have any learning design backgrounds at all. They didn't have experience designing learning. It was just like, you have time, you're available, we need to make this LMS happen, go, you know. And I heard that there were tears, a lot of tears, and I feel for them. I feel so badly for them, because even I had a learning curve with these things, you know, but I can't imagine how it was for them.
And
And
it's
so, yeah.
good that now organizations see how a designer is so key for the growth of the company, and just like communication. I'm glad you are the answer to their prayers, or, you know.
Thank you.
And
I am too.
no, seriously, because yeah, you meet the gap in many areas because
Yeah.
of your knowledge and your position. So it's awesome.
Yeah.